Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your weekly source of VR Untethered insanity and other untetheredness.
I'm
not Brad, and that's not Josh.
And it's going to stay that way.
Yes. As always, we have highlights of the week, we have new releases, we have upcoming releases, and we have some news. But before we get into all that, we would like for you to like and subscribe and send us $20 a month. No.
Really?
Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we have a new episode and all that. We would greatly appreciate it as we are trying to grow this channel.
Yes, we are.
And become YouTube famous.
YouTube famous. I think that's a new word. Hashtag YouTube famous. I love it.
Well, it used to be internet famous. Now it's YouTube famous.
That's true. But from now on, use that hashtag.
By next week, I want to be bigger than Nathy. I think that's a little bit too much to wish for, though.
Yeah, let's give it 2 weeks. Let's give it 2 weeks. That's more reasonable.
All right. With no further untethered silliness, let's go into our highlights of the week. Brad, did you experience anything noteworthy or
noteworthy this week? Well, I did notice that Oculus had its Week of Fear on sale, which is, perfectly timed. I always think of July 4th as the time for scary adventures. And since 2020 has just been such a fantastic year, what more do we need other than scares and fear? So, it's a strange week, I have to say. So my highlight of the week was just looking at what they're highlighting this week. It was a very... and saving money. Saving money was a big one this week because I overcame my lust for Wonderglade and managed to keep that money in my pocket. Yeah. What were your highlights, Josh? It could be better than mine.
Well, my highlight of the week was making progress in Skyrim. I have now discovered my destiny in the game. If you have not played the game, and I know you have not, I'm not going to spoil anything. Just I am progressing, and I'm learning my character's destiny in the game. So, yes, and I also got to play Power Beats VR via Steam and Shadow. And I did a review of that, and I put it up on my personal channel earlier this week. I will drop a link to that at the end of the video and in the end credit link area.
I recommend
it'll be over there somewhere. I'm not sure which way it is from here, but it'll be over that way somewhere.
You'll find it. I watched that review. It was very good. It will give you all good insight into Power Beats. So nice job.
Thank you. And of course, I did a little more of the Rec Room Maker Pen stuff this week. Well, technically, this week we were working on the 2 rooms because our leader, class director, instructor, whatever, had a computer failure, so he gave us an extra week on the escape room one that was due initially earlier this week. Now it's due next week, and he also assigned the next room to us, which is an AI room, or making our own quest, essentially. Okay. So like Crimson Cauldron, all that stuff. So
cool. How are you enjoying it?
We get to put enemy spawners and all that in there.
Hey, that's pretty cool. You must be enjoying it.
Yeah. It's going along, and I'm learning a lot. So always good.
That's great. When are we going to get a chance to play it?
I don't know. Sometime after next week.
Okay. I'll keep you to that.
Now, moving on to new releases, we have Wonderglade. which
Don't
came out
tempt me
with
here.
or $14.99. I'm sorry, what?
Don't tempt me like this. I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time pushing
It
that.
was
Not pushing that.
full of wonder.
Yeah, I wonder how it got onto there in the first place, and I'm still wondering.
Well, I have not gotten it. I did have it on the VR or the Go. I forget which one, but it was good. It was well done graphically and all that. It is, it's a fairly nice looking game, but it's like a casual game. It doesn't, to me, have a lot of replay value,
Right.
because you can go back and do each of the mini games over again, but they're not deep enough, I guess, to really warrant a lot of replaying.
Right. I don't see any real growth in the game. I don't see
Right.
becoming much. Yes, you'll probably sink baskets easier, or whatever. You'll learn the little secrets, but it's like you say, it's a casual game. It's something I could more see on your phone than
Right.
in
Right.
VR. It's not
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah. I mean, for what it is, it's well done. It's just not a game that I would spend a lot of time in, and as far as I can tell, this was just a port. There wasn't anything new added or anything really upgraded.
Right.
Now, that said, I do remember that there were some things that were a little janky because of the 3-DOF only controller.
Right.
That should be a lot easier now that you have a 6-DOF controller. So has got that going for it.
Still, like you're saying, basically, if I had to say, I would say this is a demo, honestly. And if they wanted to introduce it for $7.99 or something like that.
Yeah. I think $7.99, $9.99 would have been a better price point for it.
Yeah, definitely one of those under $10 games, or wait till it hits one of those duo packs where you can buy the throwaways.
Right. Which is a shame, because it's got a great premise of going into a carnival and playing all the Midway games.
Right.
But then you think about it a little bit, and you go, wait, all the Midway games, number one, are rigged, and number two, don't really have a lot of replay value.
Yes, you don't usually see the line starting again at the shoot the water into the clown's mouth. Ring the bell. Yeah, I know.
Go, okay, I just popped 3 balloons with my dart. Now I'm going back in line to do it again because that was so fun.
But maybe at this point we should mention to some developers who think that they could just take anything that already existed and port it over to the Quest. Don't. If you're not going to add something to it, you have to either keep the cost extremely low or don't bother. Because at this point, the Quest has become a really good headset, and you're not gearing it towards a Go anymore. They're thinking in two different levels.
Right. If you're going to port it to the Quest, add some stuff that takes advantage of the 6-DOF positional tracking that the Quest has.
Exactly.
Add some stuff that takes advantage of the higher graphics capability. Don't just have it be a straight port necessarily. Some games can survive that because they were good enough games on the Gear VR and the Go.
Right.
But not every game can do that, because it's like, okay, I still have to stand in one spot, still have just one controller or whatever. And honestly, I don't know if that's how it is. Maybe you can use both controllers and it allows for a little moving around. I don't know.
But a
But
mini
you know,
game
it's
is a
like
mini game.
if the gameplay is exactly the same and is a casual game thing like this, it's not something I'm going to buy again. You
No.
know,
It's more of a
no.
portal. You know, that's the
Right,
thing, is something like Wonderglades or something like that can introduce new mini games, because that's the
right.
one thing that we have to say about the Quest that I've noticed more than any other single development is the fact that the developers who are really, really into moving virtual reality forward are creating some real advancements in games that already exist and are great. It's like the Synth Riders upgrade that's
Hmm.
coming out next week, which is going
Right,
to take you into 90, 180, 360,
right,
360 plus. Sirento, you know, all these games where the developers have taken a great game and made it
hmm,
better.
right,
So
right. I mean, it's great that they have it on the Quest, and maybe now that they have this on the Quest, they will start introducing new stuff. You never know. I hope that they do, because that will add value to it and make it possibly something that uh, we would recommend buying.
right. But
So
just a word to the wise, that would probably be a better way to use your platform than to leave it as is,
right.
I would
So,
think.
anyways, moving on to another new release, Layers of Fear VR.
I don't know. It seems like a bad Vincent Price movie. I'm sorry. It's just
Sorry, that was probably my bad scary voice. I should have done it like this. Layers of fear.
well, we both have the laugh down. Um, are you going to get Layers of Fear, Josh?
Um, Probably not. It looks fairly well done from what I've seen and I've heard. It's not as scary as Dreadhalls, I have heard. It's got like a couple jump scares in it, but it's mostly just a creepy exploration atmosphere, which is the kind of what I like. I love all of the Dead Secret titles so far. Those are awesome, and I wish that uh, the Dead Secret devs would make a Quest version of a new Dead Secret title.
I can't hear you.
That would get me buying that definitely. But um, for right now, I'm saving up my money for In Death and for Onward. So.
Yeah, not me, because who wants to play with everybody else in the world? Um,
Oh, and I'm also saving my money up for the upcoming Wraith the Oblivion game, but that's not anytime soon, I'm sure.
well, we're sure now until they introduce it next Tuesday and
Yeah.
Chad wakes up.
Yeah. It's done. It's coming out. Oh crap!
That's happened to us several. Did you say, oh crap? Are we starting again?
No.
Okay. Um, in Death, I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Really, really looking forward to that. I played it initially on a beta like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago on the PC VR, and it was really nice. But the idea of the procedurally generated levels for the Quest,
Hmm.
I think it should be a great game, really. And I love archery and
Right. Yeah. um. And technically, this is a new release. Also, we have the new DLC for Affected the Manor, um, which I read it tracks your screens or something.
I I'm still trying to decide. I mean, I see it's 7.99, but when they start off by saying this is not a game, when the developers start by saying this is not a game, I'm starting to wonder, like, okay, you know, like, and basically they tell you 90% of the people that start this will never get to the end or finish it. And I'm trying to decide, is this a buying point or is this a don't buy me point, you know?
That's them trying to psych you out a little bit at the beginning of the game. I am sure. You know, it's like the clickbait. The title: 90% of people will not respond to this post.
Right. So
I'm not going to be part of that 90%.
Right. I'm better than that. I'm one of the
10%. Right.
But I do read that a lot of people like it. My biggest objection to any of the horror games in VR is, once again, your unconscious does not differentiate.
Yeah, that's true enough. But then again, that's also true of just your imagination, too.
True.
Speaking. Yeah.
True, but I mean, the more realistic you interpret your experience, the more it'll be incorporated into thoughts you might not want it incorporated into. So I sort of take my...
let's put it this way. Horror is a play at your own risk. Know your limits. If you think it's going to mess you up too much, just don't play it.
Right.
Right? So...
Pretty much, because it's not the effect, and it's not the fact that you're not going to laugh, and it's not like seeing a movie like The Exorcist could freak you out, but being in The Exorcist, that might, you know.
Having all that green tea soup land on you.
Oh my God. and not have your Gallagher water poncho on, and, you know.
Right. But yeah.
Layers of fear.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's just... I like a creepy atmosphere, you know, well enough. I like thriller type of stuff, so psychological thriller stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily really go for games that their only purpose is to scare you.
Exactly. So. The one horror game I'm still looking at, to be very honest with you, is The Exorcist, because that's supposed to be really a psychological mind blast, to put it nicely, and keep us on YouTube. Otherwise, I would use a different word. So yeah, that if I was going to do it, that's where I would jump, I think, at this point. Layers of Fear, like I said, listening to the narration, I'm getting a very Vincent Price sort of feel off of it.
Oh. I like Vincent Price. He was the classic. He was using Thriller.
I know. He was in House on the Haunted Hill, which I just watched.
Darkness falls across the land.
Come on, keep going. I want to see.
I don't have it all memorized, though.
Oh, okay. But I want to see your moonwalk before this podcast is over.
I just did.
That was very good. I hardly saw you move at all.
So anyways, moving on to upcoming titles. Speaking of horror, we have Five Nights at Freddy's VR coming out on July 16th. Another freedom-oriented title. Trying to get free of the creepy animatronic characters that want to stuff you into their suits.
Let's get away from Horror Week and into Horror Week. Guys, if you're going to carry on with the theme, let's just do it all at once, or spread them out. But this is nuts. It really is. I tried the Five Nights at Freddy's AR on the phone.
Right.
If it's anything like that, I'll be waiting for the reviews to come in, because that is a less than exciting experience. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, it's hard to do a proper jump scare thing with the AR. So it doesn't work quite the same. I mean, I like how they try to make it look darker in the app than it is in reality. But they're still not horribly convincing because you are surrounded by brightness out here, and then you have this little rectangle where it's darker.
Oh, and then you see the blue eyes, the little bit of the interference and the blue eyes, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm horrified. Oh my God, get me out.
Right.
So I think I uninstalled that about 3.5 minutes after I installed.
Yeah, I honestly haven't played that in ages. I just happened to have it still installed on my phone. So,
Right. Oh my God. That was just really awful. Really, really awful. It took my view of AR back to like let it
well,
go.
it's basically the Pokemon Go, but with the animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, it makes Pokemon Go look like Rembrandt worked on the artwork, and I'm sorry. I never thought I would think that Pokemon Go was such an amazing development until I saw this. Moving on, please. Let me get away from Freddy.
Everyone wants to get away from Freddy. He's the worst.
He's the absolute worst.
So moving on to news a little bit earlier than we normally do.
Well, we have quite a bit of news here today. So,
super hot. Mind control deleted VR. Sorry, I thought that was a clever way of saying it.
Yeah, Control Alt Delete. I think that's what they did to the brains of the developers.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Basically, it has come out that the new Super Hot title that they are working on is going to be flat screen only. It's not going to be in VR.
And it was originally a DLC. It was an add-on
Right.
that they now said, well, we added an extra couple of layers, so now it's a whole new game.
Right.
And in VR, where it's sold more than ever it's sold in Pancake, you can't have it.
Right. Which is a decision that Control deletes my ability to talk about it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, wait, so you announced fairly recently that you grossed more in 2019 because of the Quest version, mostly, than you ever did on the Pancake version. And now you're going to make a new Pancake version? And not a new VR version?
And reward the people who
How
got
does
the
that make sense?
version. None of it makes sense. As opposed to being premier VR developers, they're like going backwards in time. So
Yeah. As I was mentioning in the pre-show, the only thing that makes sense is the speculation that I've seen in our Discord of, well, maybe there was one guy there that was pushing for VR, and he's not there anymore. And they had a hiring call where they were looking for a certain kind of developer, and maybe they didn't get anyone. You know, maybe they failed at the hiring call. I can't imagine that would be true, given that a lot of aspiring VR devs would want to go work on this. But those two speculations combined could explain why they're only doing a Pancake, because they don't have the VR staff on hand anymore. I don't know.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to learn yourselves how to do the VR part, especially if your VR dev, who is no longer with you, did well commented code.
Not only that, but I think there's probably other VR devs other than that one that they could probably hire and get to.
Yeah, so it's a decision that they made. We don't really know why.
But it's a bad one.
Quite possibly, yes.
Yes. If they can port Wonderglades, they should be able to do this.
Well, that's a different dev. That's a different studio.
They could always get in touch with the dev from VR Carts. I'm pretty sure he's not doing anything these days. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Moving on from Mind Control Delete and into how VR can help you delete your pain. there was a study that I ran across about how VR reduces chronic pain at home. Virtual reality therapy can reduce chronic pain at home. There's a study published online in the JMIR-FR, and has one of the first to look at the effectiveness of VR therapy when self-administered at home. And it was funded by Applied VR, which is the Los Angeles-based therapeutic VR development company. According to them, they found high engagement and satisfaction combined with clinically significant reductions in pain and low levels of adverse effects, etc., which is all good. And they were given a VR headset and instructed to have at least one session a day for 21 days. Half the patients listened to audio-only programming, while the other half watched virtual programs in which they could swim with dolphins, play games, or immerse themselves in beautiful scenery. And the article that I'm looking at here has a video that shows a sample of what they saw. It looks like a kind of Wonderglade level artwork, but not Wonderglade. And at the end of the study, 84% of the patients reported they were satisfied, and that worked significantly better than the audio-only format in reducing 5 key pain indicators. Pain intensity reduced an average of 30%. Physical activity improved 37%. Mood improved 50%. Sleep improved 40%. Stress reduced 49%.
Now, is that the amount of reduction of those indicators, or is that the amount of people that reported? Okay.
No, this is the amount of reduction reported by the people
in
that
those key
reported
points.
Reductions.
Okay.
Right.
But we already knew something like this was going on because they were doing this with pregnant women, and they've been doing this with people who have severe problems before. Right. And I would think that it makes perfect sense.
Most of the studies so far have been in the hospital environment.
Correct.
This is one of the first studies showing it in the home environment.
And it does make more sense because, as we've pointed out, when you're engaged in a virtual environment as opposed to a pancake, as we were just talking about before, you're removed from the external stimulus.
Right, and it turns down your attention to those external stimulus.
Exactly, and you.
Stimuli.
Okay, stimuli, and that it makes perfect sense, and by doing that, it's almost like reading a good book. If you're not feeling well and you read a good book, you're not going to feel while you're reading that book. You'll feel better because you're not paying attention to the.
Right.
So yes. So it's the immersion and engagement. Once again, all they're doing is proving immersion and engagement in VR is more effective. Of course, they did the same study with exercise. They said that people who exercise in VR
go harder and longer and get more benefits because they don't feel as worn out because it's not exercise, it's a game, and they're paying less attention to those external stimuli.
And emotionally, they come out better as well, so they're getting a physical benefit and an emotional benefit.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, I know a lot of these things are kind of repetitive. They're all saying the same thing that the other ones have already said, but it is good to be reminded every now and then that VR is not just about games. It's also about health and reducing pain, helping people heal, helping people feel better. It's about education and all sorts of other things beyond just, hey, it's a gaming platform.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that we'll do for we don't want to proselytize, but when you are talking to other people about virtual reality, please don't harp on the game aspect and shooting people, because that's what
Right.
they'll come away with,
Right.
as opposed to understanding that it really is an alternate reality and that you can participate in.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of alternate realities, Ready Player One sequel, Ready Player Two, is coming out in November on the 24th, according to a Road to VR article. We don't know much about the plot of the story yet, except that it's a sequel. It takes place in the same universe, the same multiverse or metaverse.
Right. Take your choice.
So, and I know I'll be looking forward to that. It'd be interesting to see what changes he might make in the book as a result of all the VR stuff that's happened in the real world since his first book.
Right. Oh, yeah. It'll be very interesting to see his take on that. Although I think that the real world might have passed by his first look already.
In some respects, maybe, yes. But we're not quite there yet with the glasses we can go and be in VR,
That's true. Give it another
and
week
the
or two.
haptic gloves available to everybody ordered from within VR, and the haptic suits that allow everything, and
I
and I do
know.
everything.
That's true. Oh man, yeah, that Ruger vest can have a lot more add-ons.
Move your underpants.
Don't give
Speaking
yourself.
of entertainment, which Ready Player 2 will be, we have the Under Presents The Tempest, which had been had broke after our last podcast, I believe, or shortly before. I forget which.
But they won't make a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, and it began premiering this week, and I am excited that they are doing live, immersive, interactive theater in this way. That's really cool, and something I would love to check out. However, they made a big snafu with their pricing scheme, because in addition to releasing the Tempest live event, which is a ticketed event, they also changed the pricing of the app so that it's now free, and you get a 30-minute demo of it basically. And then if you want access to the single player stuff, the time boat experience, you have to pay $11.99. And then if you want access to the show plus access to all the multiplayer stuff, that's an additional $14.99. So all told, that's about $27. I paid for the original version, which had access to everything, $29.99. And in order to get the ticket to the show, I will have to pay $14.99. So they messed up with the pricing structure a little bit there, because people that are coming in now to it are going to get everything for $27, whereas I paid $30 originally, and I'm going to have to pay another $15 to get the live show.
Right.
So that's not quite fair, and if this were still a refundable title for me, it would make me tempted to refund it, get my $30 back, and then buy it again to get everything for $27. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We once again in the pre-show we were talking about this. The pricing system that they have right now is weird, to say the least.
A lot of the times, yeah. Like you were mentioning, and this is Oculus and not the Tender Clause, but with the the deal of the day and the duo packs and whatnot. If you already own one of the titles, you're only getting like $1 or two off of the one that you don't own already.
Right.
Whereas everyone else technically gets more than that off because they get the combined pricing.
It really is.
And even with the combined pricing, it's like, okay, originally you would have spent $40, now you're spending $37. Usually not that big of a discount.
Right. The discount is not enough to warrant you buying something that you weren't going to buy. It might be enough to push you to buy something you were going to buy anyway, but nothing to make you go, oh, now I'm going to do it. Nothing big enough for that. And the other thing is they sort of punish you for being an early responder. If you buy the game when it comes out, and then 2 months later the game is 30% less, then they're training you to not buy the new releases until they're released as a duo pack or whatever. So, and then the same with the cross-buy. It was like the Onward thing, and you can't have a PC version of the game.
With the Onward thing, I think that was because they brought in another studio and the different licensing and all that. So I don't know for sure, but I'm sure there was a decision process there, and that it was not made lightly.
Oh no, I'm sure, sure, and but once again, I think that's what we're seeing in VR right now. Is are people trying to decide, is this a console, a format? Depending on how you view it, I guess depends on the pricing that you're going to accept.
Right, and if they had the pricing for the Under Presents, so that $27 total for the new people, you gave them access to everything except the ticket, and it were still a flat $15 for everybody, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would have gone and attended it 2 nights ago.
If you could get in, because it still seems to be pretty busy.
Well, I could have had the time because I loaded it up the day of the announcement, and I looked, and I could have gotten in.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know. I'm going to be ending up paying $45 to the $27 of the new people coming in.
I know. I feel the same way when I'm playing a game that I bought early in this,
right.
And then I see it later, and it's people are paying half the price that I paid for the game.
Right. Right. So I think it's great what they are doing, and $15 is not a bad price for a live 2.5 hour or whatever immersive interactive theater event. So that's a great price. It's just from my way of looking at it, the people that are getting it now that had not had it before, so they're basically getting the ticket for free, whereas I'm not.
Right. It's the marketing. Right, exactly. Like we said, if you buy something early on, sometimes you get a better deal, sometimes you get a worse deal. It's just
right. And
they don't care.
Had they even just prorated the ticket price to like $8 or $9 for those of us that already had the game, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Do something to acknowledge that you already paid more.
Well, now, yeah, but then we're back to the super hot thing where they're giving people with the first Pancake game better access to more things than the people who bought the VR game.
Well, no, so this would still be the people new to the Under are still paying less than me. It's just I'm not paying. I wouldn't be paying as much more.
The only thing I would say, though, is that the tickets and doing live performances is something that's sort of completely separate from the Under's original undertaking.
Well,
so
Well, no. So that was kind of one of the initial features of the game. What made it unique is that they were having the live actors come in.
But
It
for a
was
limited time.
originally going to be for like a 6-month window, and then we'll see after that. But then the coronavirus hit and everything locked down and whatnot,
Right.
and so they changed it. They put in more hours for the live show than they did live actor to Saturdays or whatever it was called. And now they've got this, and I understand all that, and that's great. I think it's great that they are doing that. It's just,
You feel personally slighted.
well, not personally because it's not against me, but
But, right.
I feel th- th- they made a mistake and they missed an opportunity with the pricing. Because yeah, there are some people that are going to go, oh, okay, so $15 extra, sure. There are other people that are going to be like, I already paid 30, they're paying 27 for everything, and I'm going to have to pay another 15. So no, they're going to be losing out on some sales of the ticket, so because of that.
And it's not even the sales, it's the bad will. Like you're showing, it's a bad will that they create among their
Right.
people. So, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they'll
So
figure it out.
I don't know. I mean, it is still a very unique and a very good app. I still recommend it. If you haven't gotten it already, go ahead and get it and attend the show. It'll be a lot of fun. It will. So they do a good job with that. The pricing for those of us that already had the game that I'm a little bit
Yeah.
about.
And you loved it. I know you were like the number one Under fan on all of Discord. You were the guy that was pushing it when everybody else was going, huh? Yeah.
Well, that's because I can watch Legion and not have to go back and rewatch if I've gone more than 2 days between an episode.
I couldn't go 2 days between an episode of Legion. Going more than an hour between an episode of Legion, you could lose the track. So,
So
but thank you.
anyway,
Good suggestion.
going back to the more educational aspect, Penn State uses what they have decided to call DVR. Not that wasn't already an acronym.
Right.
To do virtual field trips. The professor that was so quoted in the article I read about it said, I'd actually call DVR because it's desktop VR. So it's not full-fledged with a headset, but it's 360 photos and videos and whatnot that can be viewed on the desktop and YouTube and whatnot. So it's a step in the right direction. They are doing field trips, and I can understand why they want to go for the lowest common denominator, because not everybody has a VR headset. Not everybody can afford one. Not everybody wants to afford one. Not everybody has the internet needed to do a high quality, interactive, multiplayer headset VR experience either. So I can understand why they're going with the lowest common denominator. However, in my opinion, this isn't virtual reality. It's just a 360 video and photo.
It's Google Earth. We're back to Google Earth, So, and I'm really starting to resent the use of virtual.
Right.
Whenever you use any sort of digital means of communication.
I know.
It is now become
a new buzzword, and it's being used for everything.
For everything. It's incredible.
For me, this is real coffee. For you, this is virtual coffee.
Oh, God. How is your virtual coffee? Is it virtually warm, or does it need a little virtual heating up there?
Oh, it's getting a little virtually tepid, but that's still good.
Gotcha. Now, let me give you a little Palpatine and warm it up for you.
Well, now it virtually tastes better, but in reality it doesn't.
Which reality?
But no, one thing that stood out for me in the article about this was the pr- professor was saying that um, they couldn't do more interactive in headset way because they'd have to buy specialized equipment and all that. And I'm like, well, I suppose a 360-degree camera is considered as specialized equipment, but in theory, you already have that because you made these 360-degree photos and videos. Unless it's all just flat one, then it's just got the navigation to click here to turn left. Yeah,
exactly.
But if you already have the ability to make a 360-degree photo or video, you already have the specialized equipment. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have the 512 camera array thing that Google uses or whatever, but that's going to cost $2 million.
Right, but if you take your cell phone and you just do the cardboard thing,
right. Or if you help the economy out and you hire a game dev to make an interactive recreation of what you are trying to do in the field trip, you're helping the economy, and no specialized equipment required other than the students having access to a VR headset. Right. And then all you need to do is make the pancake viewer, so just like Altbase has, for those that don't have a VR headset. And they can still be in the virtual world while those who have the VR headset are actually in
the virtual world. So, I know. It makes pure sense to people who inhabit it.
It's like he doesn't know about that stuff.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, you're being short-sighted. But still, it's a step in the right direction. Like a baby step.
Yeah.
And as we all know from Bob, you got to start with baby steps.
Next on the list of news, please.
You know what about Bob, right?
Yes, I do know about Bob. One step before
baby stepping. In other news, speaking of game devs working on worlds, Rockstar Games is working on an open world title for VR, and speculation ensues.
I love that.
Will be a port? Will it be a new title? We don't know.
We have no clue, really. Yeah. Just open world, which is really what? Yeah.
Personally, I hope that it's not a port of Grand Theft Auto.
That's what I'm seeing.
Because that's just as bad as too many horror titles, because that's gonna even more get a reaction from you of, oh, look, old lady walking across the street, I could get 100 cash for pushing her in front of her car, or whatever.
God. Yeah, I hope they stay, but I get the sinking feeling that they're going to go in for Grand Theft Auto. I don't see how they're going to.
I mean, that is their number one title, really.
What else do you think of when you think Rockstar? I mean, seriously, so.
Well, I always confused it for Rock Band at first, but.
Yeah, okay. That ain't happening now. Rockstar at this point is right now. It's beating up hookers and gambling in Vegas. It's an interesting.
I know. I mean, technically, you don't have to do that stuff, but that's what everybody does in there.
I mean, really, what are they buying it for?
Right. I mean, why else would it be called Grand Theft Auto? A crime in the title.
Right.
It's a crime simulator.
Right. It might as well be called Murder.
Yeah.
Actually wrote just Murder VR.
Yeah. Murder first degree VR.
The first 48.
So yeah, I'm sure that once they get it done, it'll be hugely popular, no matter which title it is. If it's a new title, if it's a port, they're a very popular studio, and I'm sure this will be a very popular and profitable title for them, whatever it ends up being.
Right. Rockstar doesn't spend money on non-profitable titles, that's for sure.
In other words, our news, going back to your neck of the woods, engineering and computer simulations, also known as ECS, was awarded a grant to develop mixed reality military training systems. That is a Florida-based military training company.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual headline was haptX to partner with ECS to develop mixed reality military training systems. So they're going to be using advanced haptics along with the mixed reality training.
Right.
And I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about using the VR tech to train the military, but it's very effective and safe and cost-effective way to do
not
it.
Die.
It will save money.
And lives.
What? Well, yeah, and lives. Yes. So I am all for it. Anything that reduces the cost of training in fields for our frontline workers and our soldiers, that's something I'm all for.
Anything dangerous that a human doesn't have to do, and you could have something that's replaceable and rebuildable do it.
Right.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I have run across stories about the companies that are working on a similar thing for firefighters, where you know how a firefighter, especially someone that is learning how to be a forensic firefighter, what they do is they set up a house, set it on fire, starting from a specific point in the house and all that, and then it burns, and then they put it out, and then they bring the firefighter in, and he has to try to figure out how and where the fire started. Well, once they are done, when they bring another person in, or they want to do it again, they've got to set up another house, bring in more items,
Right, exactly.
And it's expensive.
As opposed to
but if
reset.
you can do that in VR, it's just a click of the reset button, and
Right, exactly.
So
yes, VR. I mean, they showed that also with handling of explosive fuels, like nitro-based fuels and things, and they train the people so that if there's going to be an accident, it's going to be in virtual, and now you want to do better the next time without dying.
Yeah, and with the Boeing Starliner program, they're using VR and mixed reality to train them before they ever go up.
Right. And all the astronauts are now training in virtual reality. So to not understand that as much is going on in development inside of a virtual reality, it's so hard to explain to people that aren't members of the community.
Right. So I'm all for this. Moving on to the next bit of news, lenses for Apple's AR devices are moved to trial production. We don't know specifically if these are the lenses for the AR headset that is supposed to be coming out next year, or if these are lenses for the AR glasses that are going to be coming out later on. But either way, they're they are moving to a trial production, and they're going to be a little bit thicker than the usual kind and whatever. So,
Right.
yeah, it is good to see progress.
Apple is, if you're reading about what Apple is doing, it seems like that is where their sole concentration is right now, is getting
Right.
AR into our hands.
Right.
So. It's almost at the point where it's boring to hear that Apple has another new innovation that they're patenting. It's just
Almost.
almost.
Yeah. Speaking of AR, Mercedes-Benz new S-Class sedan will be offering an AR HUD on the windshield. There was an article about it, and it shows things like it'll put out a pin that appears to go out to 30 feet or whatever, marking your destination point. It can detect an upcoming curve, and that it can put an extra highlight on the shoulder line to help you stay in the lane. It shows you your speed, the compass direction, how far you are from the car in front of you, all that kind of information that a lot of cars are now doing, showing you, but on the dash. Now it's going to start being up on a HUD.
Right, which they were doing 20 years ago in the Grand Prix.
Right.
So.
Right. I remember I used to work at a car lot as a key custodian. Meaning, in the morning I came out and I put all the keys in the cars, and in the evening I came and took all the keys out. But in the mornings I would also move the blocker cars back into their specific spot. And a couple times I got to drive a Pontiac Bonneville supercharged, and it had a heads-up display on it. Way back in the 90s, it had a heads-up display on the windshield. I thought that was so cool.
Right, I had a 98 Grand Prix with the heads-up display, which was like back then people would get in my car and go like, oh my God, Star Wars.
Right.
So
it's an idea that was obviously way ahead of its time back then, because it didn't really to catch on. I don't know why, but
I don't know either.
Maybe now its time has come and it will actually catch on.
It made sense back then. It makes sense now. Why do I have to look at the dashboard when everything could be right in front of my face?
Right. Everything on the windshield. That means that instead of moving my eyes down here, I'm just changing the focus from here to here if needed, but I'm still looking in the same direction. I'm still looking at the road.
Exactly. It was a big loss for me when I gave up my Grand Prix. It was like nobody else had it really. It's crazy.
Well, now you know that the Pontiac Bonneville Supercharged also had it.
Okay. I'll have to Back to the Future. Okay. I'll get my foot.
But yeah, the only problem with this is the Mercedes-Benz S-Class sedan. Way out of my price range.
They moved it up from that $5,000 mark. Huh? It's a little more expensive now.
Yeah, my price range is more like a $2,000 mark.
Gotcha.
Anything like that gets into my card, it's something I'm going to have to put in there myself somehow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And it is not expensive for them to do. That's the crazy part.
I know. They could have this literally in every car in their line. All the manufacturers could.
Right. For a
especially all the new ones that have the LiDAR and have all the extra radar and all the extra detection features that already have all this exact information. It doesn't cost that much more to put in a projector to put it on the windshield.
It probably costs
Yeah.
less when you think about the analog that it has to go through, or the different digitals. You know, why
Right.
put it on a dash and a HUD? Just put it on the
Right.
HUD.
Right.
So,
Right. So it's good that it is. It's coming. Can't get here fast enough to everybody. So, like
right.
me.
I mean, if I had it in 1998, I mean, sometime I guess
I
by 2200 we'll all have it.
I
It's
know. Moving on to some more sad news. Minecraft on the Gear VR is dead. Rest in peace. Minecraft on Windows 10 mobile, older versions of it at least, is dead. Minecraft on iOS 10 and below is dead. They are discontinuing support for older versions of the platforms. And the only problem with that is that right now, the only way to get Minecraft on the Quest, well, they only need two ways, are to port over the Gear VR APK, which will now, as of, I forget what date was mentioned, but as of pretty soon, like October, I
that's it.
believe, you will only be able to play on your locally saved stuff. You will not be able to play multiplayer. You will not be able to access realms. The other way of playing it on your Gear VR is to use Oculus Link and play the Rift version. And I think I said on your Gear VR, but I mean on your Quest.
I was going to say you did, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Which I cannot do because I'm using virtual desktop, and the Oculus Rift version of the app is the Universal Windows Protocol or whatever version of the app. It's the Windows Store version of the app, which uses a DRM that does not recognize virtual desktop as being a link cable, basically. So it doesn't recognize it as a Rift. So
Okay.
I can't play it.
Right.
That way.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But given that the only reason I play it is to play with my son, for me personally, it's not that big of a deal, but no, I won't have a VR way of playing with my son. And I will be forced to buy for like $25 the Windows 10 version so that I can do it on my laptop. Because I can't just play it on the mobile devices. It doesn't work. I go to move and I'm just breaking every block in my path instead of moving. Yeah.
Gotcha. I've never been a big Minecraft guy, so to me it's
Yeah. So it's been around for a long time, and it's a game that is still hugely popular. Everybody wants it, except for you.
I won't be standing on that one.
Yeah, and the only reason I play it is because my son likes to play it mostly in the creative mode, and he likes to build things, and periodically we go in and he builds while I destroy what he builds, and then he gets after me. And stuff like that. So
That's the good-natured fun.
That's what dads do, right?
Right.
I don't know if any of that's making it through the microphone or not.
It is, yes.
Excuse my background noise. My son is going crazy in the living room. All through a closed door, down at the end of a hallway.
He's excited. He's excited. It's good.
Yeah. In other good news, Virtual Desktop cleared $3 million in revenue from the Quest alone. So that is before Facebook's cut, and is before taxes. So his net to take home is probably closer to 1.5 million, but that leaves the guy Godin sitting pretty because he's a solo dev. Guy Godin is a virtual or a single dev, and so he's just sitting real pretty with that $1.5 million at least that he has now earned. And he deserves it because he's done a lot of hard work on that app, and it's all him. You know, I mean,
he
changed
changed
a little bit.
right. He changed the destiny of the Quest.
Well, I mean, it's because of his work that I can play Skyrim until
Right.
1:15 in the morning. Until my quest dies.
I don't know whether you should send him a thank you note or a hate you note, but one or the other. No, he's done amazing things. He really has. I mean, even Carmack must be a fan of his at this point.
Yeah. So moving on from that to our last bit of news for the show. Elon Musk and brain-controlled interfaces will have an update on August 28th. In case you have been living under a rock and do not know what this is referring to, he founded Neuralink in 2016 to develop brain-computer interfaces for the express purpose of helping humans keep pace with AI. So, in other words, a very cyberpunk future in mind with Neuralink.
Yes, I would say so. Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah. Connect directly to the computer via your head. So, the last major update came about a year ago, and I'm reading from an article here that catches you up to speed. And has shared that it will be using a surgical robot to implant gossamer thin wires into a person's brain, connected to an external processing unit, and that ultimately it hopes to make the connection wireless between the two for maximum freedom and flexibility. It revealed in July last year that it's already performed successful tests on mice and apes, and that it would be pursuing testing on human subjects starting as early as this year. So, we already have the brain implant technology around and all that. It's highly risky, but it uses like 2 or 3 electrodes, whereas Elon Musk's vision is more like 30, 40 to 100 electrodes.
Exactly.
And very, very thin, fine, gossamer-like strands to be minimally invasive at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I would want to have this done unless I knew that it only had like a 99.99999 success rate, or how about I word it this way? That only had a 0.0001 failure rate.
Right. A statistically negligible failure rate.
Yeah. But there are things that it's wanting to do at the beginning, because in the beginning, I believe he's targeting mostly people that would benefit from something like this, like improving motor function, improving brain deficits, and then move on to enhancing normal brains after that.
Right. At the beginning,
Technically, I stutter, which has a neurological component, and I'm hard of hearing, and I do have some nerve loss associated with that. Maybe I would be a candidate for the earlier days of that. I don't know that I really trust it enough to want to, but yeah.
Yeah, the idea of putting gossamer thin wires into my brain, not a fan. Really, just not a fan. Better than putting a thick coaxial wire into my brain. I'll grant you
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. On the other hand, I am already partially a cyborg.
so am I.
I have a bone conduction hearing aid that snaps on to my head because I have a titanium rod embedded in my skull so that it has, say, direct to bone a connection for the sound, as opposed to passing through all the skin and fat and blood.
Right. So you are technically a cyborg.
Yes.
Now, I, on the other hand, have a pacemaker.
Yes.
So I, too, am technically a cyborg.
You're more like Iron Man than I am, though.
That's true, but I just don't tell anybody where I live, because when I fly out of here, I don't have Tony's pacemaker, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that would be a cool pacemaker to have, though, huh?
Super cool, yeah. Except the suit's a fortune.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's all the news that we have for today. Let us know what you think. Would you sign up to be a beta tester for Elon Musk's Neuralink? Let us know in the comments.
And we'll pass it on to Elon. So.
Yeah. So, with no further ado, remember to like, subscribe, compel your friends to like and subscribe, or they shall be forever lost to oblivion.
And that's two cyborgs telling you that. So,
yeah. Have a great weekend or a great week whenever you decide to watch this. Bye.
Bye.